Good morning, guys. Today we're talking to Jeb, and he works at Eastwood Homes.
That's correct.
And we will try to figure out why it's better to buy new construction home versus buying a house at the secondary market. And if you will have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Yeah, and that's a great topic of conversation. And I think that it really depends on looking at who your buyer is and understanding what their motivations are and what it is that they're trying to get. So just off of the top, the best things about new construction are the fact that you eliminate a lot of the competition in the sense of you can choose. What's up? How are you doing? We've got our builders walking in, stopping in on us. But in terms of new construction, it really gives you the opportunity to pick what you want and where you want it. With the MLS and the real estate, the general real estate market, a lot of the times, these listings, if it's priced reasonably, go in 6 hours, 12 hours a day, and it's very hard to keep your eyes on everything. With new construction, you can build it exactly how you want it. In terms of if you want a 1 level or a 2 level, or if you want a loft, or if you want a bonus, we have plans that fit all those different things.
Is it better to build and choose all those upgrades, or is it cheaper, better to buy something that is ready to move in?
Again, I guess it would say it depends, but the benefit of building is that you literally select every aspect of the home. So, if you're one of those people who you're on the market and you go to see houses every weekend and it's been 6 months and you're still having a hard time finding the yard space or finding that house in a cul-de-sac, or there's some sort of you need a backyard large enough for a pool, or you have some sort of there's that one thing that you've got 90% of it and you keep showing them these houses and it's like you're just there but you're not quite getting it. That would be a perfect buyer for whom you could bring to, even if it's not Eastwood, just new construction in general, somebody who has lots that would accommodate the pool, or somebody who has cul-de-sac lots. And you can find those things, and then on top of that, on the inside of the house, they get to design that as well. So if they want the white kitchen, they can make it so. And then it's just a matter of coming to terms with which builder is going to have the best price for what they're looking for.
I have a lot of clients who are looking for houses right now, and the biggest issue we have is the size of the lot. What's the biggest size of the lot they can get with a new construction builder?
Yeah.
Like Eastwood Homes.
So again, lot size is definitely a challenge for everybody. Just because the competition to buy land, when you have a market that's so good, everybody's developing, everybody's building. And unfortunately, there's a bit of greed to it. They understand that if I chop this land up into all these tiny pieces and sell them at cost, across the board, I can make this much more income. And so it is something that you do fight a little bit in the new construction world, and that's just a reality. But that being said, every community is going to have a selection of lots that are going to be larger. And so you would want to define, well, what is larger? In my opinion, for a new construction home, a lot size that would be considered large to me would be anywhere from over a quarter, maybe 0.25, 0.26, 0.27, up to maybe over a third, so 0.34, 0.35. I would consider that to be a good size lot. There are new construction communities that specialize in half-acre lots where you could pay extra to specifically have that acreage. But and you can tell me how you feel about this, but I feel like a lot of people don't really know what a half an acre truly is. They just know that they want a large cut of land.
Well, and I see it quite often, especially with people moving from out of state. Initially, they start looking for 2 to 3 acres with a new construction home, which is, I cannot really find anything like that. Either you buy a lot and just start building with custom home builder, or just agree to buy something less.
Right. Yeah, I don't know of any new construction in the upstate around us that's doing development on that scale.
Right.
And there's a lot of reasons they don't do it on that scale, because kind of going back to what we were saying before, you can make a lot more money doing it on the micro scale. But I think that, I would start with the largest in terms of a half acre. If you have more than a half acre expectation, then a new construction in terms of, Eastwood Homes, Ryan Homes, Mungo Homes, these builder homes, these home builders, you need somebody that's more custom on a level like that. It is probably just the most practical.
Okay. Going back to the secondary market, the biggest issue that I have personally is negotiating repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So with new construction homes, you're not going to have that issue, and you will probably will opt out of having inspections done, because new construction builders usually have the inspections done ahead of time. Can you tell a little bit more about inspections and the warranty?
Yeah. So it's definitely very nice to know that everything in your house has never been touched. It's brand new just for you. But beyond that, we do have our own inspections, of course, but we also allow and even encourage third-party inspections, because it goes a very long way to have a third party come in with unbiased opinion and validate, the job that we've done, and it allows you to feel confident in what you bought. They're testing the doorbell. But we also do have the 1, 2, and the 10-year warranty. A 1, 2, and 10-year warranty covers, a variety of things. The first year is, for lack of a better term, bumper to bumper. My boss would hate that term. But the 2 years also everything. Hey guys,
We're getting a loan.
Yes. So the security panel in the office next door isn't working. So when I came into the office, it set the panel off in here.
Okay.
Came in here and turned it off.
But everything's obviously
We're good. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out. Yeah. Just had the Greenville County Police Department come and check up on us, because I tripped an alarm earlier this morning. So anyway, the home warranty. Yeah, the 1, the 2, and the 10-year home warranty. The first year is everything on the surface. The 2 years is everything you can't see behind the walls. So that's mechanical, that's duct work, that's electrical work, that's ventilation, plumbing, and things of that nature. And then the 10-year goes on to everything that's foundational. So this is the slab that the house is built on, or if it's a crawl space, your crawl space, or whatever kind of foundation you have. This is your roof line, the trusses. This is, the structural, foundational, rough-in parts of your house. And that covers everything from the 1 to the 10, and you'll have a closing manual that it goes through in very great detail and tells you specifically all of the things that would be covered under those different warranties. And then every buyer, whether that's new construction or not, always has the option to do additional supplemental coverage with other warranties as well.
Gotcha. And what else? When it comes to working with a builder or a new construction home builder, right, and having an agent who is representing the buyer, would you recommend to have buyer's agents? Because a lot of people believe that you don't have to, and yes, you don't have to, but would you suggest people get in touch with agents?
This is probably one of the most common questions or conversations that I have with real estate agents is understanding the dynamic and the relationship with a new construction builder, and how their role works in that situation. So we love realtors. We encourage buyers to use realtors. We understand that statistically speaking, 88% of buyers use a realtor anyway. And if they're not using a realtor, they don't have to. I as a sales agent am fully capable of guiding them and looking after them and trying to help them make judgments and decisions in their best interest. But we pay the realtor their commission, full 3% and bonus. So the buyer doesn't have to pay anything, or they're not losing anything out by bringing a realtor on board. The common misconception, and this is a myth, is that oh, well, if I have a realtor and I'm going to buy new construction, I'm going to have to pay more for something I don't
Right.
need. And that's not true. So, whether or not somebody really needs a realtor is kind of an individual question. And what is your comfort level with conducting a real estate transaction? And I would think most people probably don't have a ton of experience in that situation. So a realtor is always encouraged and would be a benefit. And I think it's just kind of setting that expectation and helping them understand that, hey, this is not going to cost you anything. And if you feel like you need one, then I would recommend getting one. And if you are comfortable and you don't need one, then that's, your decision to make. But we love realtors. I think a buyer is better fit to have one, to have another advocate, somebody to look out for them in their best interest, and to also just help with, it's a lot of work to get it done, to get it from point A to point B. So to have another set of hands, another set of eyes to be able to get the paperwork done and help move things along is really invaluable.
Right. And I was thinking about you guys offering some incentives, right? Offering once clients go with preferred lender or preferred attorney or both, right? So you're saying you will offer some bonus there.
Yes.
And just go into details and.
Yeah. So the incentives that we have change on a quarterly, well, I guess it depends on what you're looking at, but our incentives do change over time. But generally speaking, we will do 3% closing cost so that 3% is based off the total sales price of the home. So just using easy numbers, if we were talking about $200,000 home, that would be a $6,500 closing cost credit. And that's with a preferred lender. So the only part of the transaction that we mandate is the lawyer. We ask everybody, it's actually written into our contract that we use Nelson Galbraith off of Fall Street, downtown Greenville. We use them just for convenience. They do a fantastic job. And if we're closing 300 plus homes a year and we have to go to 300 plus different lawyers, it gets very complicated trying to set closings and things of that nature. So we only use Nelson Galbraith, and that's written into our contract. But obviously they're allowed to use whoever they like for lending, but we give them the 3% closing cost incentive to use our lenders just because it's easier for us to get the deals done, to keep things on time. We have close relationships with these lenders. I can call them on the weekend or at 9 o'clock at night if I want. They'll pick up my phone call.
Right.
I can get my questions answered. We have trust. I don't have to worry about changing the closing date several times. I don't have to worry about is the appraisal ordered like it was supposed to be or what have you. So those are the reasons why we ask that you use these people, and the incentive that we give is the 3% closing cost. That's just for the attorney, lender, that side of it. Incentives for our actual homes and communities, they vary greatly depending on which community you're talking about. At our higher price points, we give more an incentive. We give more included features in terms of what is included as standard in the home at that base price. And then we also give different amounts of design center credit in different communities. So there are some communities where you can get as much as $5,000 in a credit towards the design center, and then it varies everywhere from 3 to 5, and so that's a little something as well. But what those numbers are and which features are included, that change bases on which community you're in and what price point you're in, and then the 3% closing cost that we do is for to-be-built homes, and that's with a preferred lender in any community. And that's kind of the nut and bolts of it.
How many subdivisions does Eastwood have currently that are selling houses?
Yeah, so we have been growing, obviously. We've opened up 2 or 3 subdivisions in this last year, and we're totaling right at, and I'm kind of shooting off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it's like 13 or 14.
Okay.
Now, obviously, of those 13 or 14, a couple of those are mostly sold out and are kind of on the back end of development. We're actively selling heavily in probably 8 or 9 different communities. And, I think everybody in real estate is doing phenomenal right now. I don't think there's anybody who's really, really hurting in this market. But we have been just crushing our numbers in terms of what we're seeing and what we're growing and what we're doing. So it's a really exciting time for us at Eastwood and I'm sure all the other builders are seeing the same thing as well. But I would expect those numbers to grow, certainly.
What about the prices? What's the minimum, maximum that you guys are offering?
That's a great question. So every builder has a different identity, and we understand who we are. We build largely between the 200 to 325 price point. That is where I would say probably 75-80% of our sales end up is in that bracket. The communities that we have that start at the lower end of our price points, the lowest price point community that we have is a community in Simpsonville off of Fort Shoals Road called Harrington. And we can build a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom ranch plan out there for starting at $174. And then by the time you upgrade it, maybe it's $185 or something like that. But to be able to build in Greenville County, under 200,000, you're talking about after upgrades and everything all said and done. I mean, that's like what,
Right.
$1,000 mortgage payment, like maybe.
Right.
I mean, that's a huge plus for us, and we've seen a lot of traffic in that community just because it's a neighborhood that caters to a demographic that for a long time has just not been able to buy anything. And then we have everything that goes, some of our more expensive communities, the base prices in the mid to upper 200s. So I'm talking about a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2-story home, 2,400 square feet, base pricing at $266 or $267. And then by the time you're all said and done, you're probably just under $300 or upwards of $300, depending on how big the home is that you're upgrading and what you're upgrading it with. But in general, I would say that as an average, the average buyer would probably put somewhere between $20,000 to $25,000 in their house, as a rule of thumb.
Gotcha. Well, from what I see, the quality of the houses, new construction homes, and the houses at the secondary market, the quality of new construction is a lot better than the houses at the secondary market at the same price point. And people who are out of state, they don't have a good idea that's what they basically can get for the same amount of money with new construction homes. So it surprises me that some people just jump into just buying that house at the secondary market,
Yeah, there's a couple of conditions that you'd have to be okay with, obviously. I mean, if you're building a home from scratch, obviously there's a timeline. So there's a 6-month timeline. For us, at least, that's what it is. There's usually a month or month and a half or so on the front end just to do the selections, have the we just have all kinds of interruptions this morning. That's okay. But anyhow, I apologize. What was the last question you had? It was
about new homes and secondary houses.
Yes. So, assuming that you were okay with building and that you had the time and you weren't under a time crunch, then absolutely, it makes all the sense in the world. There's a lot to be said for even just 10 years time. I mean, people look at houses that are 15, 20 years old, some of them even 30, you think
50, 75?
yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much can happen in that time. And I think once you've been through a new home and you've seen it,
right.
it's really obvious. The impact is pretty phenomenal. And I think it has to be right for you in terms of having the ability to do the 6-month build time. But if you can, I think it's a no-brainer for sure.
I mean, you have a lot of homes that are ready to move in, right?
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to build a
Yeah,
construction
absolutely.
home.
We normally carry anywhere from 3 to 4 specs, as many as 5 in one community. And with the inventory home, it's just a matter of being able to line up. Are all of these options that are in this house all of the options that I want?
Oh, I'm gonna get him. Андрей, иди сюда. Сядь, пожалуйста. Иди сюда.
Yeah. We've got several guests joined. They're gonna jump in.
Иди садись. Садись сюда. Посиди. Well, having a kid during the summer.
Yeah, so this is COVID right here.
Right.
So we're working with it. But anyhow, no, Andrew's joining us. He's hanging out. He's been phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I think with new construction, it just depends on if the situation makes sense for you. If we have homes you could buy and move in 30 days, and then we have homes that we could just build for you and make it exactly what you want it. And if you have the flexibility to do either or, then we're definitely, and when I say we, I mean new construction in general, but also Eastwood. I think we're definitely a better option. It's just, fundamentally, some people just want what they want, right? Like, some people really want that age-old, carriage cottage in the established neighborhood, and if that's something that you're specifically seeking, then that's something that, you would be willing to look for, wait for, pay for, so on and so forth. And, I think new construction hits home really hard with a lot of first-time home buyers or younger buyers, and then definitely on the back end with the boomers, because it's normally that age demographic in between late 30s, 40s, where you kind of have the money to be able to pay more for that dream house or what have you, if it's not something that's new. And then somebody on the front end, of their first home or second home maybe, and then somebody on one of their last homes, those buyers are like, okay, well, for the first time home buyer, like, I just need to afford a house and get into something.
That's right.
Which Eastwood does really well in terms of competition with our price points with other builders. So we see a ton of first time home buyers. And then once, you kind of are on the back end of your maybe your last house or going into one of your last houses, it's like, you know what, I've worked my whole life, I've got the money, I don't care, I'm just gonna build exactly what I want, I'm gonna make it what I want, and I'll put as much money as I want into it, that kind of a thing. So we see a ton of the front end and a ton of the back end. And then we have we do well in the middle as well, but that's kind of that demographic that we usually hit.
Gotcha. And before we will wrap up, can you tell my clients and whoever is watching us about yourself, just in case they will decide to move forward without an agent and work with you directly, about your experience, how much experience you have, and basically how they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. So I've been working with Eastwood for 2 years now, and then I trained a year before that. So I'm from the Greenville area, so I'm very familiar with all of our communities and all the locations that we're in, and before I was in real estate, I worked for a while in bars, and I worked with people in customer service. So it was the whole talking and to people and understanding and meeting people was very easy. It was just getting to know the business aspect of it, and so I feel very confident in that now. But if anybody out there is interested in new construction, or even if you're not necessarily trying to buy new construction, you work in real estate and you want to know more about new construction or Eastwood, or our locations and what we're doing, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody in any way. If I can help you, please reach out. My cell phone number is 864-918-5540. And I work with Eastwood. My email is jwallace@eastwoodhomes.com. And then Olga also knows me, so if you know Olga and have questions, she can help you as well.
We had, one deal together, right? We had a good experience working together. Jeb was very professional and what he is doing, and I was happy with the result and the way he communicated through the transaction, because that's one of the main issues that I'm having, not being able to get the responses to the questions that I have with the rest of the builders, or most of them, I would say. It's hard to find a good new construction home builder agent who is able to provide you with all the information at the time when you need it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot to be new and to hear that we feel like we've done a good job. But yeah, the house that we sold was a large house.
It was the last house in the subdivision.
It was.
That's why it was a good deal.
It was, and her buyer's a great guy. But he kept wanting to change the lender. We were trying to corral him down, and so we had issues come up. Everybody does. It's very far and few between where it's just perfect from front to back, and it's so nice when it is. But you know, so little things come up, and even the biggest problems can be figured out and solved if you're actively communicating and talking.
Right.
And which is what happened. You know, we talked it out, we figured it out, and we handled it, and you know, no harm, no foul. Deal went through. Everybody's happy. So you know, I'm glad that we had that experience, and I look forward to doing many more with you as well.
Right. Well, thank you, Jeff, for your time, and
Thank
I
you.
hope somebody will reach out to you, and we'll have more questions about Eastwood, and
Yeah.
you know, we'll try to find more clients who will be willing to buy Eastwood homes.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon.